Oh yeah, sexy biscuits. Nice.
Long Bus 1975. A YouTuber's on the rise. Reviewing games late at night and sometimes friends. But Long Bus 1975.
Hey YouTube, Longboys Post 1975. I think I'm going to start making Wednesdays my random vlog day of the week again. Also, I do apologise last week that the audio sync kind of lost it and stuff like that. It happens with this camera from time to time. I don't know why. When you're watching it, you cannot literally see it happened. But also, apparently, we wound up the clocks again in the clock room, so apologies if that noise irritates you. Oh wait, I don't care, because I quite like the sound of clocks, first world problems and all that. Well, you're probably looking at the title and thinking, that's a bit of a random one, that came out of nowhere. Why do you want to talk about how old you were when you had your first McDonald's? Well, it's not that strange, because I have context and you don't, so allow me to bring you up to speed. Yesterday morning, because obviously I work a night shift, so when I leave work, it's the morning at 6 o'clock. McDonald's opens at 6 o'clock. Myself and my friend, we were going to go and get a McDonald's breakfast. And when we got there, they were closed. Pet peeve of mine is McDonald's, if you can only do drive-through, right, then stick a note inside the door. I'm sure you have access to paper and pen, and blue tack and tape. So do that. I'm not going to use the drive-through because I don't use drive-throughs because I don't like drive-throughs. Personal pet peeve of mine. I know, I'm cutting my nose off to spite my face. But the point is, we were walking away, it was tanking down with rain, and I said to her, we could go to Greg's. Actually, I can't be bothered. We're going to get absolutely soaked and there's nowhere to park. We'll just do this tomorrow. And then she just said something really random because she's from Romania. And she said, you know, in Romania, McDonald's is considered a luxury. And I was considered a luxury. Whether or not it is now, I don't know. But the point is, it was to her when she was younger. And I said, you know what, it kind of was here too. But then I thought to myself, actually, how would I know that? Because I never went to a McDonald's until I was 12 years old. Now, obviously, to give this more context, McDonald's kicked in. Obviously, McDonald's was around since the mid-50s or early 50s in America, but they're more like a mom-and-pop burger chain, weren't they? Before they became franchised and, you know, the massive behemoth that they are now that's clearly taken over the world is the most recognizable burger chain and #1 burger chain in the world. And I forget the movie with Michael Keaton, but take that with a pinch of salt. It's a good movie, but it takes a lot of liberties. But, however, while you could say we were clearly playing catch-up with McDonald's in this country, they kicked in 1974. Their first McDonald's restaurant was in London in 1974. And then obviously for a few years it was probably literally in the teens. Dependent upon where you look on Tinterwebs, you get different answers. So, you know, if you want to correct me, by all means do. But, like, literally, I had a quick look around and different places gave different specific answers. Anyway, they were doing quite good quite quickly. By 1980, they had 100 stores, which is huge for being a brand new burger chain and only being out for 6 years or so. But then having said that, you could argue that it was literally gonna happen. It was on the wall that the minute they went to the United Kingdom, then obviously, I don't know if they beat other places in Europe, you know, by coming to United Kingdom first or vice versa. I really don't know. Couldn't find any information about that. But it was going to happen. It was, you know, it was a win waiting to happen because ultimately all their marketing technically already been done because obviously there was a massive, you know, market for American things in this country in the early 80s, mid 80s, all the way through the 90s. Because obviously the sheer amount of import TV, such as, especially in the 80s, things like Knight Rider, you know, The Fall Guy, Dukes of Hazzard, things like that, Airwolf, but more so not necessarily that, but McDonald's was featured in TV shows. Movies, obviously, you know, brand recognition and McDonald's paying, you know, to be in movies and stuff like that. I'm looking at you, Santa Claus the movie. That's when I definitely remember being very much aware of McDonald's hitting the big screen. But the point is, those of us in the United Kingdom were aware that McDonald's was a thing because of this. So the minute they come over and they announce that they're launching a restaurant, brand recognition is already a thing. Now, obviously, we did have burger chains and stuff like that and takeaways and things, but the burger chain that I went to and have fondest memories of as a kid, which is still kind of a thing in service stations, was Wimpy. Who remembers Wimpy, where the little cartoon beef eater was their mascot, and he used to go in and it used to give you an actual plate, not a paper plate, a plate and a knife and fork, and your burger would come on it, and you get chips, and and you would leave a tip in a fast food restaurant. And it was a pretty big deal for years, but that was our equivalent of McDonald's. They were bought out by Burger King, so subsequently they pretty much got blasted off the face of the earth in this country. But there is one in the services on the way to Birmingham. So a few years back, I was that desperate to relive the Wimpy experience. I drove down the motorway for an hour just so I could go to a Wimpy burger. Obviously they don't have the same sort of advertising and mascot and stuff like that now, and it was crap. Whereas as a child it was amazing. But this video isn't about that. This is about the first time I went to McDonald's. So the point is, I'd been to burger chains, with my parents and my friends. And all my friends' parents for like birthdays. I remember that. I remember downtown Bristol, which would be the Burger King now, was a Wimpy and had an upstairs, and we went to a birthday party there, which was, you could have a whole top of the floor and they put balloons up and stuff like that, and you would have a birthday party. I forget which friend it was, we were quite young, but yeah, so we went to Wimpy and were part of a birthday party, and it was absolutely fantastic. That never happened to McDonald's, but I'm getting, or with McDonald's I should say, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So I've been to burger chains as a kid. I knew, what McDonald's was. We would have burgers at home and things like that, like on a Friday evening after school, my mum would cook us chips and pan fry a burger and, make us a cheeseburger and things like that. It's not like for some reason until McDonald's kicked in this country, the British had no fucking idea what a burger was. They were relevant, they were culturally relevant. And again, obviously because of TV, movies and things like that, even before you got to McDonald's, burgers and America and stuff like that. But the point is, right, McDonald's then, so they kicked in 1974. I am a bit all over the shop on this. I'm still rusty at vlogging, apart from food, even though you could argue this is food, so throw me a bone. So McDonald's first restaurant, 1974, in London. Then they were in teens for years. Their first advert before a movie in a cinema was 1975. 1976 would have been their first adverts on TV. If you're advertising on TV, it's safe to say you've got your foot in the door of the fast food market in this country. But again, they must have exploded because their advertising had been done for them. As I said, they were relevant. People knew who they were because of movies and things like that, and in comic books and things like that. If you read American comic books in the 80s and stuff like that, early 80s. So the way I could see it, or the figures I could get, I would say, was in 1980, I think they had 100 restaurants. In 1986, they had 200. Then by 1988, they had 400. The growth of this is insane. And then they introduced drive-thrus and stuff like that, which was a big deal in this country. So the point is, McDonald's exploded and was absolutely everywhere. And while I could find no specific numbers, or years, I should say, for when they kicked in Bristol, I certainly remember them from, around about mid to late 80s. Just because it was next to the Virgin Megastore, and I used to go to the Virgin Megastore to buy Mega Drive games, and before that Spectrum games and stuff like that, and you couldn't miss it. There was a massive McDonald's next to it. There wasn't one in Bedminster, which is my neck of the woods, until the late 90s, which is weird because, so these places, once they got themselves in a city centre, you'd have to go to a city centre if you want to experience them. It took them a while to get to smaller parts, or of the city, the outskirts and the burbs and stuff like that, which I'm guessing wasn't the case in America because driving long distances and stuff like that, you would always have those like little areas off the road that had a few stores and stuff like that. Kind of like out-of-town malls, I guess, but not massive, and there would be a McDonald's, or I know this isn't about, or a Wendy's or a Burger King or stuff like that. But the point is, right, so they were relevant in my early childhood, but my parents never ever took me or my brothers to a McDonald's. And when I said at the start I consider them to be a luxury, as much as I can remember, I don't remember having any immediate friends whose parents took them to a McDonald's. I mean, we would have things like fish and chips on a Saturday and stuff like that. My parents would drive us, or drive downtown, bag some fish and chips, come back, and we'd have that as a treat. But we never got taken to McDonald's, and it wasn't because they had anything against it, because obviously, and also you're not eating that shit. It's unhealthy for you, because obviously we would have fish and chips, hardly known for being the healthiest thing ever. Deep fat fried fish and chips. So it wasn't like they had anything against it, and you could argue that for the money it would cost to buy a family of 5 fish and chips, would probably be less to buy a family of 5 stuff in McDonald's. But we never went there. Like I said, my experience of going to a burger place was Wimpy, and also that kid's birthday party. But yeah, never ever went to McDonald's as a kid. Again, don't know why. Relevant to me now that we're in the mid-80s, because obviously I'm collecting American comics and I'm seeing adverts from McDonald's in there, and stuff. And yeah, but never when there was a kid. Never really stopped to ask my parents why we never went to McDonald's. I really don't think it was anything deliberate. I just don't think it occurred to them, or the thought. In fact, to be perfectly honest, I don't think they ever asked us, do you want to go to McDonald's? So it's not a question of, we asked and they said no. Just never went to McDonald's as a kid. Now also, friends at school, that one friend who had us, a birthday at Wimpy, which may have even been before McDonald's kicked in Bristol, because we were really young in that. That's the only birthday party I've ever been to in my life that was at a fast food restaurant. I mean, when you watch movies and stuff like that, and more so, it's definitely relevant now, and you see it in media and you see it on YouTube and stuff like that, that people have parties for their children and their immediate friends, like we're talking young, age here, early age school and stuff, in McDonald's. And McDonald's obviously sees a great market and caters for this, right? None of my other friends, parents and stuff like that, we never went to a McDonald's for a birthday party. Never ever went to a McDonald's. I don't even know, because of primary school, very early secondary school, if that was kind of a popular thing, because I don't recall anyone ever taking or having a birthday party. It's not like you're hiring it out, but you would say to them, look, right, we have a couple of tables and stuff like that, and just take people there. But I always thought that was probably because obviously early 80s, and mid-80s, money was really, really, really tight. If you were having a birthday party, at least what my mum would do was, it's far cheaper for you, and obviously I'm a twin, so there's 2 of us, then there's 2 groups of friends that she has to cater for a party after school. Probably cheaper just to go and buy nibbles, crisps, cakes, and all those usual party food things, which I loved those parties as a kid. Room temperature pop. Pop was always room temperature at birthday parties. Do you remember that? It was always room temperature at birthday parties. But yeah, probably a lot cheaper to do that than take, 9, 10, 11 kids to a McDonald's. That must be a supreme hit in the pocket. Plus also, they're at the safety and confines of your house. We're in public now, and looking after a lot of kids and controlling them and stuff like that. It's a lot more labour intensive with, higher repercussions and stuff if things go awry. So I'm trying to think, but these are the reasons that, no particular reason, birthday parties were cheaper at home, but never ever went to a McDonald's until, you've read the title, until I was 12. And the more people I talk to about it, particularly people who are, 10 or more years so younger than I, find this like, what, you never went to a McDonald's? Where did you go for a treat as a kid? Or did you never go to a birthday party? No. Like, oh, you were missing out. Was I? Because clearly, the fact that myself and a bunch of my immediate mates and school friends at the time had never been to McDonald's, although did round about the time when I talk about when we were 12, because we started going to town together, on a Saturday and stuff like that, to go shopping and shit, usually buy video games. But the point is, it seems to be far more prevalent thing that young kids go into. I don't want to do one of these videos when we point the finger at people and say, you should be cooking food yourself and shit like that. Why are you taking your kids to McDonald's more than once a week? Because even though I say I want to think it was a luxury then, it still kind of is now. Because forget the fact that I got a series of videos called Fat Food. That's just a slice of my dietary habit done for a fun video. The number of people say, why aren't you dead or fat in that series of videos, is the reason I invented a tapeworm called Robert. But the point is, if I go to McDonald's and have a breakfast, then that's it. That's my trip to McDonald's. I won't go again for at least a week. I'm not saying, oh, look at me, I'm so fucking healthy. And also, if anyone's going to say, I don't eat it, it's shit, it's disgusting, it's unhealthy, don't bother leaving a comment. This is just a fun video. No one gives a shit about stuff like that. But yeah, but if I have a McDonald's, then I won't go again in the week, like If I have a breakfast, then I won't have a burger in the same week. If I have a burger, I won't have a breakfast in the same week. I go once a week. That's the whole point. Moderation, make it a treat. Luxury, like my mate said. Otherwise, what's the point? But it wasn't, and it wasn't like I went out of my way when I started going to Bristol on a Saturday, because I've done a talk about going downtown by, a vlog, sorry, going downtown by yourself as a kid was a big deal. But it wasn't until I, started going to town by myself, catching a bus down the road from the parents' house and stuff like that, and going to the bus station, walking around town, buying all this stuff, and at about 10 o'clock, yeah, it was 10:05, the bus, and then catching it from the bus centre at about 5 o'clock, 5:10, all the way back to the bottom of the hill and walking up the hill home. Good times. They were good times, buying video games and stuff like that. But I never, ever specifically planned the minute we started doing that. It was just like one day my parents said, you're old enough. If you want to, you can catch the bus. Just go with a couple of friends, although the first time I went alone. And then, because there's no mobile phones and stuff like that, then, safety in numbers and stuff like that. It wasn't like, right, I'm going to McDonald's. I feel that somehow I've missed out my entire life. It really wasn't a thing like that. It's like when I said, some people said, how did you not go until you were 12? Because it wasn't like I felt like I was missing out. There was a hole in my life, a massive hole in my life, and I needed to rectify this. And because even though, again, I was aware of it because of movies and stuff like that, I just never felt the need to go. And so one day, on a Saturday, for some reason, my brain just went, that's that place, McDonald's, innit? This, you know what? I've always wondered, like, not like I need to get in there, but I've always wondered what a burger's like in McDonald's. And it was kind of a cool experience because it was different than Wimpy. It was bigger, it was more polished. I mean, I know Wimpy was a franchise, but Wimpy felt a little bit more mom and pop. But McDonald's was like your first big experience of, fast food, and it definitely had that whiff of America about it and stuff like that, which I guess was part of its appeal and why it, exploded so quickly again, like I said at the start of this video. But yeah, and got a cheeseburger. I don't even know when they had quarter pounders then. This would have been 1989, so I didn't have my first McDonald's until 1989, the year Batman came out, if we want to put that into perspective. Funnily enough, that was the year I had my first Burger King, and I can remember that for a fact, but we'll get to that momentarily. So yeah, cheeseburger, fries, Coke. It was alright. Was it massively better than Wimpy? No, not really. Was it worse than Wimpy? No, both of them were clearly on par with each other. It was a thoroughly pleasant experience. It didn't change my life. I didn't suddenly think that, fuck, I had been wasting years and years and years, and damn it, why didn't my parents take me and my brothers to McDonald's? Just like, that was alright. And then, for years, until the age that I could drive, when we used to get buses downtown, and more so like when I was like 12, 13, 14, 15 and stuff like that. For years, we'd go to town, and then it would be like, do you want a McDonald's? No, I think I'll get a Wimpy or something like that, or a Burger King. It wasn't like it became the go-to place. It was weird. The year I got a Burger King was because Ghostbusters 2 was out, which we would have got at Christmas, not summer. Or was it the other way around? I don't know. We always got stuff late here then. And I remember the advert on TV was, there's a special Ghostbusters 2 meal, and you get Ghost in a can, which was they just gave you a soft drink in a can. And I really wanted to go and try it. And so we went to Burger King. I think it was me, maybe either Shane, my twin brother, and Luke, or Luke. But yeah, and they'd run out of cans. So we just had to have a regular drink from the fountain, and I was gutted. But yeah, so I don't know why. I honestly don't know why. But is it a luxury? It should be a luxury. Otherwise, everything in moderation, that we ruin it, and it's not good for you. Obviously, I am aware there are some people these days that absolutely feed their kid on this shit. And when people say but it's cheaper than buying healthy food and stuff like that, is it? Is it really? I don't know. But I only cook for myself, and I don't find it that expensive. But yeah, so the fact that people find it a really big deal that I didn't go to McDonald's for the first time when I was 12. I'm guessing though as well, even though exploded popularity over here, it didn't have the complete cultural impact or relevance that it did in America. Obviously, McDonald's is American as apple pie, isn't it? Whereas over here, it was an American export, and while it obviously done fantastically well even then, it wasn't one of those things which is you're not fucking British unless you've had McDonald's. So yeah, so basically what I'm trying to say is obviously it is a luxury, but it wasn't to me as a kid because I never went till I was 12. Is this genuinely a weird thing? If you're of my generation, obviously, Generation X basically, is this a weird thing? Did you go to McDonald's as a kid? Could you not imagine going to McDonald's as a kid, as a treat, as a luxury? Or were you like me, which is it completely passed you by till literally you were going to town by yourself? You never went to McDonald's with your parents. They never took you there as a treat. Not because they were trying to deprive you of something or they had a problem with it. It just never happened. And no one missed it. Or am I the only person who finds this? Well, I don't find it strange, but, you know, is it odd that other people find this strange? It was a little bit waffly, I am aware of that. But yeah, the fact that the more I thought about it, and the more you see, like, you know, like what a big deal McDonald's is to people, to young kids, to, you know, because you hear them in, why, I want this, I want this. Those would be the spoiled ones that you always encounter everywhere, which is probably why you shouldn't take them to McDonald's. But the point is it more of a thing now that you take young kids and birthday parties happen in McDonald's, and not so much when I was a kid? Or was I literally, me and my family and my immediate friends, the only ones who lived on this fucking island under a rock that didn't do McDonald's until, you know, till fucking secondary school, basically? Anyways, always, I'd love to know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. Oh, by the way, didn't have my first KFC till I was 25 because there was no KFC in fucking Bristol. Took them building one by Ashton Gate, the Bristol City Ground. Boo. Otherwise, you'd have to go to Swindon, I believe. But yeah, anyways, always, I'd love to know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later.